So, hello everybody, and welcome to the iGaming Africa webinars. Today we are going to be talking about artificial intelligence and its application in gaming. And we are joined by very special guests, Eli Joseph, Vishal, Zend, and Leon Mutua. And they will be helping us to unravel all the topics around artificial intelligence because almost everybody will agree with me is now talking about AI. Coming from the music industry, you go to gaming, you go to the sports industry, almost everybody is now talking about artificial intelligence. And therefore, it's very important for us to have this discussion. I will allow my panelists to do a bit of introductions about themselves and what they do. And I'll start with Haley and then go to Vishal and Leon, please.
Hi guys, I love the ladies first. Thank you for that, Jeremiah. Hi everyone, I'm Hayley Joseph. I've worked in the gaming industry for over 22 years across both land-based casino and online spaces. I'm passionate about driving growth, shaping strategy, and sharing insights from the ground up, from operations to leadership. I represent IGP based in Malta, and I'm really excited to be here today and look forward to the discussion ahead.
Yeah, Vishal.
Hi, hello guys. My name is Vishal Zain. I work for Any Group, which is a online iGaming platform provider based out of UK. I've been having worked with iGaming industry for 7+ years now. Overall experience of about 20 years. And thanks for having me, Jeremiah. It's lovely to have you. Uh, I know Haley as well. She's a good friend. I've been recently introduced to Leon, so I think this is going to be a great discussion. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Leon. Thank
All
you.
right, hi guys. My name is Leon Matua. I'm a key account manager at SofaScore. SofaScore is a live scores platform in across more than 160 countries. What we do is we allow bettors and operators access to our data for them to make informed decisions about the games that they prefer to either gamble on or watch as fans. I'm grateful to be here on this platform to share the podium with such heavyweights. I saw Haley at a panel in Cape Town not too long ago. Vishal, I met him in the course of preparation for this particular engagement, and Jeremiah, I guess at this point I'm within my rights to call him at least an industry friend.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Leon. Thank you, Vishal and Haley, for those brief introductions. So we'll start off by at least recommending or appreciating those brands that make these sessions possible. Of course, the sponsors. And I'd like us to dedicate just 1 minute to watch a clip about these brands. And then from there, we'll jump into the discussion. Kindly. Yeah, thank you so much. So Of course, a massive shout out to the brands that are supporting us to make these sessions, of course, possible. So thank you so much, Digitech. Thank you, Streets. Thank you, Raven Tracks. Thank you so much, Enugu State Gaming Conference 2025 that is taking place in Enugu State in Nigeria from the 30th to the 31st of July 2025. And as well, thank you so much to Gaming Tech Summit 2025 that is happening in Nairobi from the 2nd to the 6th of June 2025. And of course, not forgetting One Exhibit. One Exhibit is a cryptocurrency gaming platform. So thank you so much to all those sponsors. And now to move into the discussion around artificial intelligence and its application, of course, in gaming. I would like, Richard, for you to introduce us to this topic, of course, before we move into the questions. Like, for those who are new to artificial intelligence or AI, what is AI according to you?
Hey, so AI is actually it was actually always there in some sense, but it never actually kind of bloomed. But now with latest generation of tech coming in, it's actually going to some next level. So it's more of a technology which learns itself, which curates itself, different expectations that we want to set it up. So it's as simple as a technology which can self-learn and achieve the goals that we want to set.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think the first question again to you, Vishal, will be like, how is AI shifting platforms from a reactive to a proactive stance in terms of player engagement? And what does this mean for the player retention and loyalty within the game industry?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Jeremiah. So, the iGaming world for large proportion behaves like, sitcom from early 2000s. It's like happening after a fact. A player dropped off, we will realize it after 24 hours or whenever the CRM guys checks in. What they do is they send the bonus and, just cross the finger and hope for the best. To give you more context, we have a crash game called Defender, which is very popular in African market. But when we first rolled out Defender, our retention strategy was basically hope and prayer. That's all. If a player ghosted us, we just sit around wondering what went wrong. It's like having an ex after a bad breakup. But now, thanks to AI, where we have started a deep learning project, and more importantly, we have planned to get this embedded in our any group platform. We will be playing offense and not defense. So our platform is like central nervous system, and it powers everything: CRM, loyalty, wallet, everything. Okay, and the deep learning model tracks literally thousands of actions per play session. So with AI on top of it, we are actually spotting behavioral patterns as they happen. Uh, just to give some context example, so let's say if a player is usually active on weekends and suddenly drops off, the system doesn't wait. AI can track in-session behavior and making real-time engagement decisions. It might flag a CRM trigger to offer a lightning bonus on their favorite rocket crash room. Or let's say if the bet amounts are starting to taper, maybe it switches to AI UI, which is probably more favorable to them, which is more casual for the players in that mental state. Or it might switch the loyalty model around to favor the players more. Okay, or even give a loyalty based odds boost, which can be at the right moment. So this is what a real time player retention looks like. It's not reactive band-aids, but a proactive ecosystem built on the core of our platform. The operators don't need to worry about building this themselves. So good thing is this platform thinks for them. Okay, and as a result, the players will stick around because we understand them. Of course, it's a huge implementation. It will take time for any operators to do that, but this will hugely impact player loyalty. Retention, isn't about spammy promotions anymore. It's about relevance. If you get it right, you're not just keeping players, you're actually building super fans. And let me say this: AI doesn't replace human creativity. It just stops us from wasting, time building campaigns that flop. It's like having a crystal ball that also runs SQL queries and write push notifications.
Yeah, thank you for that. And you've actually brought in a very, very key conversation that will actually take us to our next question about player acquisition and retention. And I tend to note that most operators are focusing more on acquisition and forgetting that they need to also work on retaining these players because the players have a variety of brands to choose from. And actually, you will agree with me that as days go by, brands are working on improving over time. So sometimes you might need to be watching what your competitors are doing very closely for you to know the next step that you should take. And therefore, by using AI as a tool that can help you to retain players, is actually a good thing that brands should be able to do. So Haley, talking of data privacy, model transparency, and regulatory pressures, which are growing currently, how can operators ensure that they approach explainable AI?
Yeah, I think from my side of things, I mean, thanks for that, Jeremiah and team. I think just to start off with, I think as we know, AI is still very new, but if it's used in the right way, it can be the one thing that takes the industry to the next level. Obviously through compliance, personalization, and data transformation. So I think from my side of things, I mean, just to highlight a few factors, I think it's very key for personalization, for detection and risk modeling. And as it grows, but as it grows, so does the scrutiny of it. So I think why does this matter? I think players want things to be felt like they're fair and transparent. And if they don't get a bonus or are restricted and there's no clear reason, they may lose trust. So I think especially in the new laws in Europe, like the EU AI Act, and the African countries like the PAPIA Act and Kenya's new Data Protection Act, I think these require the businesses to now explain how AI is making decisions, especially if these decisions affect people. I think so. So for me, internal teams like your compliance and customer support teams need to understand why AI made certain decisions, and if something goes wrong, a team member needs to explain it and always show the transparency with the player. I think that will always go a very long way. So, in simple terms, explainable AI really means designing your system, your AI system, that is, to be clear, understandable, and justifiable to both your teams and your players out there. So, for me, like I feel that operators should pick the right AI tools that show how decisions are made and not just the end result. I think they need to train staff to understand the AI logics, especially front-facing teams that are dealing with players in the front face of their business, and to be transparent with players. Show them clear reasons when they are flagged or denied a bonus. I think that's very very key, and always staying ahead of the regulation and be ready to demonstrate fairness and compliance when asked. I think those are the key factors that will always go a very long way and just make sure that the brand trust is never jeopardized. So I think that's my comments on that. I'm not sure if anyone else wants to add to that.
Yeah, maybe Haley, something you brought up again. I'm very keen to get some insights on is you mentioned something with the regulation of like an act for regulating the AI in the UK, something like that. And I know there's something happening in Kenya as well regarding, I know it's a matter of data protection because this is a major issue here. I would like you to highlight more, especially how this can be done from a regulatory perspective, especially knowing that so many people are now using these tools, and their data or any data that they feed into the tools might be prone to abuse. How can regulatory agencies ensure that because they are ahead of technology to ensure that even as we use these tools, we are safe and everybody is protected together with their data?
I think the first thing is understanding all the excuse me, the rules and the regulations that are outlined in those acts, And obviously every country has different, coming from South Africa, the POPIA Act I'm quite familiar with more so, and then obviously the new European acts they have come into play now that protect the players. So I think it's very, very important to understand the acts that are defined in these rules and regulations, and to lean on the regulatory bodies to just get that information. And Jeremiah, I remember in your Malta show that we all represented, that you outlined, and Joe Bweku outlined some really key factors that came out of Kenya, for instance. And for me, staying close to the regulatory bodies in those countries and making sure that the gambling industry within Africa and the various countries understand what is required, and making sure that they are always having AML and KYC at the forefront. I think that's very, very important. And we are getting stricter as we progress in the industry. So for me, we need to make sure that we have that relevant training on regulatory outlines, and make sure that we're using the key stakeholders to make sure that we are sticking to the acts and that are outlined in each country and territory around the world. I think that's key for us to make sure that we're always compliant and we're respecting the industry, is my way to put it. So I hope that answers your question. But I think we need to make sure that we have our compliance teams up to speed and exactly what is going on in the respective countries with the relevant acts out there.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think you pretty well answered my question. I think now we need to bring in Leon into the discussion. I know, Leon, you work for SofaScore, and data is an important tool in your operations. However, you will all agree with me that AI is becoming a buzzword in sportsbook and casino operations today. I would like to understand from you. Of course, I know you're not from the sports betting industry, but from the sports industry. But of course, these two industries are very relatable. But then, considering that, as I say, there is becoming a buzzword in sportsbook and casino operations today, where is it that the real business is being delivered according to you?
So thank you. I think, of course, I will agree. As it goes these days, when people are talking about fundraising or they're looking about how to access capital in different markets, the go-to term right now is AI. But essentially, what does that mean? Where is the actual value addition, and where people are gaining from the use of AI? And for me, I think I have maybe about just maybe three clear-cut avenues where I believe it's essentially helping, particularly from the operator side. One, in terms of the enhanced acquisition and engagement. So before, whereas there used to be almost a pray and spray approach to customer acquisition, which is find the loudest media outlet and push as many ads as possible. I think with AI, just to agree with the other panelists, as it continues to grow and learn, you're able to have a more sophisticated offering. So what happens is you're able to target the audience and provide for them a better experience in terms of enticing them or inviting them to participate and get on the platform and play. And this has been proven true because what happens is the data has been reflecting that more firms that have been increasing their AI on the back end have been growing their stickiness with their customers, which means they've had a longer retention and also longer session time with players than those that are still maintaining in the analog stations or analog system that they're still running. I also believe my second point would be essentially from the operational side of things. This runs down to how AI can be plugged in directly into your operations to kind of reduce your wasted manpower, and not necessarily wasted, but you can optimize your manpower for it to be spent in more pressing matters. And some of the avenues that this has presented itself in is chatbots. I think everybody has seen these days that when you jump on at least more leading operators, more leading casino platforms, you're met with a chatbot, and these are typically there to handle what would be the more repetitive, the more mundane questions that doesn't necessarily really need human interaction. What the AI system does is it learns from the continuous repeated requests that it's able to interpret and guide somebody. So ideally, if somebody is looking for a particular game on a platform or how to get certain information, the chatbot itself is able to simply help you out with that data without necessarily wasting your agents, I would say. I think it also goes down to another capacity, which is the risk management. So, what AI has allowed people to do has been to be able to grow your capacity to learn or see patterns that can highlight what fraudulent act might be committed or is attempted to be committed. And that's essentially from a security perspective, as you, as the operators or the casino holders, you need to be able to make sure that your platform is safe for the players, as well as from your side. You don't want your data being farmed and being hacked by, malicious players. And AI is able to scour the data, I mean, in real time. And not to say that people aren't needed, but the manpower, again, can be relocated and spent more effectively for the organization. And I think, lastly, for fraud and data protection, at the base note, anybody coming onto your platform needs to know that, one, their data in terms of their banking details or however they choose to interact or deposit money is a secure transaction, as well as what they're placing their money on is a secured cave. So whereas, and in Kenya particularly, is facing the backlash in real time. There are some rogue operators, and what they're doing is they are cloning particular platforms, and then you change a slight name here or there, and the player is confused into believing that they are actually interacting with a genuine site, whereas that could be wrong. And I think regulators, when they collaborate with the operators to share that information, you will be able, from an operations perspective, entirely, to present a more safer, a more enjoyable, and a more profitable experience for yourself as well as the players.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Leon, for that background, I think, to the topic. Because I'm learning from you that the more you use AI, the more it's more likely to be accurate in the future. Because yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Haley has said it. Vishal kicked us off already with that caveat. The difference with AI is it's continuously learning, and it's the adage used to be the great equalizer was education, and that just applied to how to standardize people's capacity to make an opportunity. But right now in business, not necessarily limited to gaming alone, but when it comes to business right now, the great equalizer is how well you can integrate AI into your product and how you can present that to the market.
Okay.
Jeremiah, just to come in there, I see Samuel's popped a question into the chat, and just to talk about his question where he says, how can AI be deployed more from player protection and gaming addictions? I think AI prompts us early enough in the game to basically look at that, and see when there's problem gambling coming about, how people are gambling during odd hours of the morning, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, how those habits are coming out. So I think that's something, given the right tools, okay, an operator or a company can pick that up really quickly, and I think it just helps us to be ahead of the game and efficient, and actually respect those gaming addiction rules.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that, Haley. I think Vishal has something to say, but then before then, what is coming out strongly is on the need for us to utilize the AI tools, especially to monitor players' behaviors to ensure that they are gambling responsibly. And this is one of actually the applications of AI. And my question to Vishal, even as you plan to give us some thoughts you had on what the other panelists had said, is how now can people plug in AI into their platforms? Because we can talk about the benefits, we can talk about the challenges, but then if I don't know how I can apply it so that it's helpful to me, whether I'm a regulator, whether I'm an operator, whether I'm a game developer. I think from a technological point of view, you can paint to us a background on how somebody can be able to implement these tools so that they can be helpful to them.
Sorry, I lost your last bit, Jeremiah. Your sound, I just lost
Oh,
after.
sorry. Yeah, I was saying that even as you plan to mention something based on what the other panelists had said,
Oh,
could
yeah.
you, yeah, could you please explain to us a background on what are the one, two, three steps that somebody needs to follow to plug in AI tools into their platforms, like
Yeah.
how to get started? Yes.
Yeah, see, actually, I would say now I mean, the elephant in the room, or like that's a major concern. AI is fascinating, it's great, it's all good, but like in terms of regulation, risk management, like where are we going with this, right? And here's the thing: the regulators don't need to play catch up. No? They can actually partner up with operators. At any group, we have some dashboards which shows like what kind of decisions our AIs are making, like when a bonus is triggered, why a game recommendation is shown, so what kind of risk are flagged. So this is all there. So I would say like going forward, there needs to be a kind of a platform which has to be built between the regulators and the operators to build more trust. you know the systems, because our systems are just trying to protect the player's wallet. So let's say if a play it flag, let's say there's a user who's lost very significant money in one of our crash game, which is Defender, and now he suddenly tries to jump on Rocket Boom, which is another crash game. So AI will break that journey, and the regulator then will feel, oh, that's not biased. That's smarter than my bank. You know. So I see in the future, I see co-built sandboxes where regulators, developers, and operators test AI before it's rolled out. It's think like clinical trials, but for algorithms.
Thank you for that. And going back to, I think I'll have to go back to Leon again
Yeah,
because the matter of responsible gaming through the use of AI is a crucial subject.
yeah,
And actually, even in Kenya, as we speak right now, there has been unheated debate around crash games.
yeah,
And because you brought up this point about clone games, and I know this is another subject for another day,
yeah,
but you can clearly paint for us an image of the situation on ground and how we can apply AI to solve some of these problems. Because I know there are so many clone
yes,
games around, and sometimes when it's a fake game, let me use fake because of lack of a better word,
yeah,
uh, then it means even the payouts are not accurate. It means that the players will not be getting their rightful share. So
yeah,
let's imagine a player playing Aviator on a fake game, and the RTB probably set at 50% or 60%. These players will be losing a lot of money in the
yeah,
name of playing Aviator. But then, if you take the same player and give them the real Aviator platform, and they play that game on that platform, again, they may see a difference that they are not losing as much as they were losing on the other end. So, how can the regulators be able to use these tools to ensure that they are effectively monitoring even the games that are being offered in the market that
yeah.
operators, are they using real games or they are using fake games? And to
Sure.
connect that with this question we had on the board, um, I think you can just take the two of them all together, how we can use AI on both our ends to promote safer gambling experiences for end users. That is the key word, for end users.
Sure. Uh, that was, I don't know if that was a question or a thesis, but I'll try my best. Uh, I think it's important to understand that it's never been a situation of operators versus regulators. In fact, the operators are more willing to be compliant to the regulators, and AI is actually allowing us to bridge this gap. Actually, Vishal mentioned it pretty solidly. At this point, the data that's being held by operators will essentially have to be put in a sandbox so that there's two-way, or a dashboard so that there's two-way visibility. Because right now, from the operator side, how they're trying to enhance the experience or make it safer is the data alone that we're collecting allows us to see the frequency of deposits. It allows us to see the size of the deposit. It allows us to see the amount of the deposit. It allows us to see how long a player will last on the particular platform, right? And with that information understood, now you can set up responsibility tools, which essentially right now that's part of the regulatory how would I put it, concessions that the operators are making, particularly in the Kenyan market. And what that means is, the operators are not averse to a set limit amount per account. They're not averse to proactive push notifications, which promote safe and responsible gambling. And, essentially, breaks in play are a way for the player to also understand that this is a game. And much like anything, if you abuse it, it will have some effects. So these are steps that operators from both the sportsbook and casino side are willing to make, but it can only be done in lockstep with the regulators. Because at the end of the day, if you put a pitch of 11 players and you put 11 operators versus 11 players, and then the referee puts 4 balls in the pitch, being the regulators, we don't know what's happening. Right? We need to be able to all be on a level playing field. We understand the rules of the game, and all of us are able to understand that this is how the game operates. If any of the players touches the ball with their hand, that's a handball, and it's clear as day. So it's never been the operators are fighting the regulators. In fact, operators want a more transparent system so that we can weed out these rogue players that are entering with essentially 3 legs. And, it's a 2-man football game, So you can't come into the pitch with 16 players. You can't have 2 goalkeepers. It can't work like that. There are rules and there are frameworks that exist to protect both parties. And the only bread and butter that can hold this together is the understanding that there are regulations and they must be followed. I want to say that what the assumption is that operators are doing maybe a smash and grab, but it's to nobody's benefit. Ideally the operators want people to have a safe and responsible experience, which allows them to come in, make their placements. If they win, they win. If they don't, they have another chance to come back and try again. And we need the regulators on our side to be able to support us. So AI allows the integration of, even in the slightest, if we're even talking about verification, right? If we have a sandbox of open data and there's verification, maybe be it an identification number or a phone number, whichever avenue or an IP address that we can correlate on shared data and say, okay, this guy played on Vishal's and he reached his time limit for the day. Then he went to Haley's and he reached his max cap amount for the day. Now he's come to Leo's. If it's a collective symbiotic system, it should be able to flag him by the time he's getting to me. But we need the help from the regulators to come on board with this. Vishal is right in saying that, the operators, we are already ahead of the curve by integrating the AI into our systems. Haley would give you a wider scope because she does expansion across different markets. She'll tell you that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So the faster that we can collaborate and the faster that we can embrace the AI, the safer we'll make the environment for the players and the safer we'll make it for the operators.
Yeah, thanks for that, Leon. Well explained. You cannot have two goalkeepers. Even me, I cannot allow that. If I have one goalkeeper, you also need to have one. And what I'm picking from this conversation is that AI is good. And please don't quote me. This is my own opinion. And now I want to us to open this conversation to the other end. Is there a possibility that also AI can be banned? Because basically, like 70% of the thoughts we are sharing here are reflecting a very good AI. And so I'm trying just to understand, like, is there a chance that AI can also be bad to some extent? And I want to connect this question and put all of them together for Haley. As you respond to that one as well, Haley, please, can you tell us how AI now is making it for businesses to be profitable? And I'll put the question on the screen so that everybody can be able to see it. How is artificial intelligence transforming the way sportsbooks personalize offers, bonuses, and promotions to different player segments? And what impact does this have on conversion rates as well as use this information to stay ahead of the competition?
Yeah, I think from my side of things, I think it's kind of like a one size fits all now model by analyzing the kind of real time player behavior to create like those personalized promotions and offers, you know. So this obviously boosts the conversion rates by delivering the right message at the right time. And it also gives the operators a competitive edge by reacting faster to trends they see, keeping players engaged, reducing churn. It's about being like faster, smarter, and more relevant, I would say. I think that's the main thing for me. So it just keeps the guys in tune a lot. So I'm always one for saying yes, have the right AI tools, but you do still need to be ahead of someone monitoring those tools and actually looking at those tools. And I think staying ahead of the competition for me, I think leveraging emerging technology and adopting AI, blockchain, and machine learning to improve that security, number one, and the personalization is also very important for I would say operators. And taking that and adapting it to the consumer behavior, you know, so basically providing a seamless and mobile first experience across all devices is something that is very key in the gaming industry. I think also staying ahead of the competition by using data that is smarter, personalizing those offers and loyalty programs based on your player trends that you're seeing within your business is crucial. Always prioritizing responsible gambling, you know, so that you're building that trust with transparent practices and responsible gaming practices is very key. I think a very key factor is staying agile and innovative. You know, experiment with new offerings like gamification is very big, esports and flexible betting options that will attract the younger tech savvy players who may not have been reached by the traditional betting methods. You know, so I think that for me just opens up the eyes within the operators to actually have that those conversion rates and use the information to stay ahead of the competition. I think you know, every business has to still align their strategy around the AI tool, and not only just rely on the answers that it does spit out. You know, so I think, you know, there's just a lot more room for you know, the personalization that comes ahead now.
Yeah, I think that's a very good. Those are very good sentiments. So I'll post again the previous question to Vishal. What do you think about the remarks about AI? There being a chance that AI can also be dangerous, apart from it having, of course, its advantages.
Yeah, I mean AI can be dangerous because again, it's actually AI is a technology, so it's like any other thing in technology. So if you use it right, it gives great benefits. If you misuse it, it's going to just create harm. Just like any other technology. I mean, I'm just trying to, maybe it's taking too far, but look at the nuclear bombs, look at all the machine guns, the guns, bombs. I mean, they were created as a good technology for good reasons. The intention was always good behind it. Scientists and science never are wrong. It's the people who actually use them actually makes it wrong, right? So even with AI, you can actually, because AI is self-learning and it doesn't have any moral compass, right? You can make AI do wrong things as well. So it's again operator's choice. So I think Leon has made it. He has said it right. So nowadays, operators are looking to collaborate more with regulators. I think that is a space we should all go in. So the more and more operators and regulators work with each other, the AI will go in the right direction.
Nice. Thank you. So I think the next one is to Leon.
Yep.
Um, of course, we are basing this discussion and putting a lot of focus on the need for operators, regulators to all work together.
Yep.
But you all know that sometimes it doesn't work all the time, that they work together. Like we know instances where there is some division, especially when you start talking about taxation. But then
Yep.
that's a discussion for another day. I want to look at the aspect whereby, of course, we have the willingness by operators to adopt these tools either for the betterment of the industry or for the betterment of their pockets. And what do I mean? An operator can plug in a tool and see that, of course, there are players who are addicted, and they may lack the willingness to block off these players, because at the end of the day, these players will end up gambling on other platforms, and that is why a proactive approach that is inclusive of all industry players is needed, so that if one player is actually blocked from one platform, they cannot be able to access this platform on another site. And I'll bring in a comment by my friend Geoffrey Mwindi, who wrote this on LinkedIn, that operators should plug in AI to analyze behavioral changes of players and ensure that betting patterns, session times, and spending habits to flag off potential problem gambling. And actually, not just problem gambling, I think even when you talk about issues like even match fixing, I think if you use AI properly, you can be able to detect certain betting patterns that can be able to tell you that there is a problem with this game. So, Leon, the area I would like to focus more on is like, how can we ensure that we have this harmony between all these players, so that any decision that is made by one operator is binding, that one player cannot be able to gamble anywhere else if they are, of course, blocked from one side. And a problem we have is that most of our operators are already ahead of the curve. They are already far, far, far ahead of the regulators that we have. How can we ensure that we are all on the same page?
um, so I was lamenting the the guns example, AK-47s. So I was just there for a minute, but we can speak in ideals and best case scenarios, but the reality is you're never going to really have 100% of an industry on one side of a matter, because like we mentioned, AI is just technology, right? It's the moral compass of those engaging with it, and how we hold that standard as an industry is the only way that we're going to be able to progress, at least ethically, because there's nothing stopping one player from getting banned on one platform for either fraudulent or match fixing, and then going to another platform if there's not a paramount understanding that in this particular market, this is how, as operators, we've agreed with the regulators that if we flag this particular number or IP address or ID number, and we send it in through the regulator or through our sandbox as operators as a list, that particular access for that IP or that ID or that address will be blocked across the board, right? That has to be collaboratively built, right? Because from a one-to-one perspective, you really can't stop it at the moment. But the idea, if we go to fundamentals, would be the best way would be where the regulatory body is so strong or so in step with the operators that it becomes a matter of simple reporting. So I'll use the example of the lending platform or the lending industry. The lending industry have collaborated with the regulator, which is the credit bureau, the credit revenue bureau, to the extent where if you default on a payment in one platform and they report that number to the CRB, then you go to another platform, you won't be allowed to access any facilities, because the standard from CRB has banned it across, or at least they've been signified across other platforms, that this is a risky number or this is a rogue player, right? So it goes back to how to have a symbiotic relationship. So it's the end goal from each side. The operators want a safe environment. The regulators want a safe environment. The operators want the most productive and conducive environment for the players to participate and obviously to make profit. It long-term gains the operators nothing to have a rogue mentality of how much money can we squeeze out of these people, because it'll reach a point where the players are not coming, they're not participating because there's no upside for them, you know. So players who have a long-term desire to be in an industry, they start by following the regulatory process, which is you register your entity, which now you're recognized by the government and by that body, right? After that, you pay your licensing fees, which means you are recognized and are allowed to operate within this market. That alone is a step outside of just being in the wild, wild west, where we say we are willing to participate in this market. We are tax compliant. This is our annual remittance. If you want to see the books, this is how they look. And as a private institution, I have no business. I can't tell Haley, let's do this. And I can't tell Vishal, let's do that. I can't tell you, Jeremiah, let's do that. But we can come together and we can go to the body and say, for the betterment of ourselves, we have agreed that these steps would be better for the operators as well as the players. So it's always going to be a matter of how we can collaborate because, you know, Rambo is cool and all, but that's just a movie. You know, you can't take down an army, you know, with two AK-47s and machine gun strapped to your back. You need collaboration. It's really how you do it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you for that. And Leon, a very good example you gave there with the lending industry, and I know the collaborative efforts there, whereby if you are blocked actually from one company, like you cannot easily get access of funds from another company, and it's something we might need to take note of and try to copy and implement in the gaming industry. And now I will put a question that will guide now the future of AI in gaming. And I think I'll give everybody a chance to speak on this one. Like, based on what is happening at the moment, what can you see as the future of AI, especially how it can be applied in the gaming industry for the betterment of the industry in future? Like, how can we ensure that these developments that are already happening are probably advanced in the future, so that we get better results from the use of AI? And what can you anticipate individually based on what is happening at the moment with the craze around AI? We can start with Vishal and then Haley.
Well, I say big trend. Like you have the SaaS model, right? So I see like the if you ask me, I think it will go something like a personalized sportsbook service. So it's like think Netflix but for betting. So operators just won't be offering odds; they'll be offering curated story-driven experiences. Like AI will auto-generate real-time narratives. It's like it can just ask, your favorite team is 2 goals down. Want to place a comeback bet at boosted odds? So it just feels like friend tempting you, right? So it's going to be that. Also, there is something about conversational AI, which is I think is going to just explode. Imagine a chat bot that just not just support, but it's like your betting buddy. It just says like, "Hey Jeremiah, last time you bet on Nadal indoors, you made $5,000. Want to try again?" Creepy, maybe sometime, but absolutely effective, right? You're also, I think, there will be experimenting with using LLM models to create something like instant bet slips, like based on plain text. So something like just like bet 10 euros on Manchester United winning by 2 goals, with Rashford scoring, and LLM passes it and prefills the bet slip. So zero friction, optimum use of technology. So yeah, I see trends going there.
I think from my side of things, I see it being used a lot around customer support. I see it being used more efficiently around actually looking at better risk management tools, and actually helping to assist regulate the industry a lot more by actually using the correct tools around it. So I think it will help us drive deeper user engagement and operational efficiencies, in my mind, keeping operators more competitive, and just coming up with new and innovative ways in the industry to actually enhance the way forward. So I think, yes, Vishal touched on odds and stuff like that, so you can expect dynamic odds coming in, predictive insights, and just really having that competitive edge in the industry that's really going to enhance personalization with like real-time tailored betting. Really, I think that's going to be something for the customers and the users out there. Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting times.
Yeah, I have to agree with Haley. I think the support side of things from the industry is going to become a lot smoother. A lot of the times people, sometimes the deposits, or they're making inquiries, or they're making, appeals about how maybe a bet went, or how their deposit played out. And having the chats and the AI is just being able to learn and respond at a faster rate is obviously going to give people a better experience. I also agree with Vishal. More dynamic options to place bets are going to come up. Just from the example alone that he gave, like if and personally, I don't bet on the team that I support because my emotions are connected to it. So if I'm watching the game and I'm watching the run of play, and I get an immediate real time opening, and they say, you know what, tell you what, I bet no corners are going to happen in the next 15 minutes, and they're attacking, and the game has been 90 minutes on one side, I'll take that chance. So more robust options are gonna come about. You're gonna see guys getting a bit more creative with it. I think jackpots are always still gonna take the day, because everybody wants the glory. But I think in streamlining the back end and giving guys a better experience, Haley hit the nail on the hammer. I think we're gonna be able to give people a better customer support version. And then from Vishal's side, I'm looking forward actually to the new options that are coming, with what they can muster up together. There might be even, hot zone betting. If a platform can look and see what time they have majority of their traffic, they may build out something custom for that. It's really limitless. Developers, when they decide to go crazy, I'm a fan, so I'm just waiting to see.
Yeah, thank you. And I especially like the point about you not betting on your team. I bet it's not Arsenal. Your emotions are connected to it. So I think that's really good because even me, whenever I bet for Chelsea, which I supported, they lose, I feel like I didn't support another team. But that's just on a fun. I can see that we have some time. I want to invite the audience in case you have any question, you can please type it in the chat. Um, there is there was of course Crash Games, which was a boom across the world, and now there is AI. I want to know if we should anticipate anything else that will take the industry by storm, or it's only AI that will continue like big shape in the future. Should we anticipate any additional technological advancements within the industry, not basically generally the gaming industry, but even outside of the gaming industry? These are simple questions.
I,
I
I
think
think, yeah. Sorry, go on, Haley.
no, you go, Vishal. It's all good.
I guess it's just going to be AI, and it's just going to be newer versions of AI, but it's just AI all the way. I see like the new technologies will be created by AIs for the AIs for their use, which we wouldn't, like common people wouldn't even understand or comprehend it. So I foresee that AI will make technology just to suit them, to make themselves more better, and it will be all done by themselves. Sorry, Haley, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on the tightening of regulations. I think that's definitely going to be evident, as we've seen more and more of the posts coming out across LinkedIn and in the industry. I think markets in Africa, LATAM, and parts of Asia will start continuing to define and redefine the legal frameworks. And I think I think it's going to be more and more scrutiny on those markets that are not regulated. So I think the operators and the industry in itself needs to start being proactive and leaning on the likes of our expertise out there. Like we've got the legends ladies who can help us with regulatory stuff. Joe Boyke who can help with the regulatory stuff. I think it's really important for us to lean on those avenues where we can use that performance and just make sure that we're actually up to speed with all the regulatory standards that are going to be increased around the focus on responsible gambling. I think it's going to be really, really important for us to keep ahead of that. And then I think also, sorry to carry on, but the second point for me would be mobile first and a micro UX. So I think super apps are going to be big. I think it's going to be light and adaptive platforms that come into effect, as well as bite-sized gameplay. Those are the things that I've been watching a lot on. So I think it's going to be fast, instant win games, and low stake kind of experiences designed for mobile use. So those are some of the things that I've been watching, and I think it's going to be something to start thinking about for the future. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Leon.
I was, Haley just stole the word right out of my mouth. Particularly, the growth of gaming across the globe, the most significant spike has been in Africa, right? And in a situation like that, you have to be able to develop for the mobile penetration that's in the markets that are available, right? So what you're gonna find is people are gonna find a way to innovate for USSD phones to be able to place bets or put lots through onto smart devices, or like she said, super apps where you get an all-in-one suite where people can come in and engage. I actually met an organization where their platform essentially allows you to play the lottery in any market in the world. And because of the penetration of the internet, right now, we're not waiting on the innovation that's happening in Zambia or Cameroon, or we're waiting on it's if it comes out of aviators from where Portugal, right? If somebody else comes up with something in Czech Republic, it'll take 2 months before it's on your phone. If somebody comes up with something in Iceland, it'll be in your device before the end of the year. So right now we're all participating in this global arena, which means we kind of have to lean towards a global standard of regulation just for the betterment, because the government slapping people with higher taxation. I saw it in Rwanda. I read it on your platform actually, Jeremiah. I think they hit them with a 50% tax. They were at 4%, and then they hit them with 50. That doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
It'll just make me bet a bit more so that I can make up the balance that the government's going to take from me, right? How about create opportunities? Use AI, and outside of the gaming industry alone, if other industries relied on AI to streamline their processes and allow for people to do or maximize their capacity, more jobs are created, then now we'll have less scarce betting, and now it'll become betting is a game. It's supposed to be enjoyable, right? But at the moment, some people they do it as a career because there's no other opportunities in other markets, and maybe given the governmental situation in that particular territory, that's how they make their bread and butter. As operators, and from my side, from the data side of things, at the end of the day, the industry itself is known as the gaming industry, right? This should be an extension of what you do outside of. This shouldn't be your personality. Uh, People make decisions. You mentioned you support Chelsea, but your beard is too long. You have too much wisdom to make such bad decisions. So people are just gonna do what they do, and for us, we're just gonna try and make sure we make it safe for them. And the regulators, I hope they support us, and we can make it conducive for everybody.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think we are running out of time, but I'll see what I will do about my beard.
No,
So,
keep the beard, change the team. Keep the beard, change the team.
okay, good. Thank you so much. So,
Jeremiah, Jeremiah,
yes,
I know we're running out of time, but one key thing that comes to mind, so because I really like this question that you posed, is I think also as we evolve in the market, I think consolidation comes to mind. That's the one key word that comes to mind for me, and how amongst suppliers and platforms we're going to have to scale and consolidate a lot more and fill those tech and content gaps. Really, I think that's something that comes to mind, because we're going to have younger players that come out in the market with different habits that expect more social kind of features that come out. So I think there's going to be a lot more collaboration. I think that's going to come out in the industry in the very near future as well. Sorry to take the time.
yeah, for sure, no worry. So, I think there is something we forgot to talk about. I can see we've been added 5 minutes. So let's quickly run through this. It's a question that has been sent directly to me. Um, there is somebody who is working in the graphics industry, that is the media and graphics space. And the work is photography, media stuff, related stuff. And they are worried that AI is going to render them jobless in the next few months, because I think somebody who is actually frustrated with this technology. What do you have to say about that? And then we move to the closing. somebody like should people consider not doing some courses in university because AI can do them in seconds, or it's just a passing win?
It's not just passing min. I think like AI is definitely replacing jobs. That's for sure. That's a fact. It's already there. People just don't realize it. But I think we as in human beings have to really gauge and look at what we can do next. Because like there were jobs like data scientist, which didn't exist 10 years back. There was no machine learning jobs, but now it's there. So AI is coming. AI will replace technology, but it will also bring new jobs because it still needs human touch to steer it through. Okay, so because AI is good, but it will never have the moral compass as I said, and it will still need the human touch. So it will bring in new jobs. It might just transition the old jobs, but that's the reality of it.
I actually see it as quite a it's quite an exciting phase because I actually see it as like a speed up of content creation. AI tools will generate the designs and creates great drafts for those type of people to work with, and I think it changes that creative role and becomes like a prompt engineer, if I can put it into those words. I also see it that it won't necessarily replace jobs, but it'll bring out that originality and that brand thinking. Because for me, AI lacks EI. It doesn't have emotional intelligence, and it doesn't have cultural nuances and stuff like that. So you're going to need that human element. So I think it's going to be like it's going to be high level designs that do end up coming out of it, and it will be that unique visual identity that basically gets brought to the table. So I think we should embrace it in that respect, to actually use it to stay competitive, excuse me, and focus and storytelling and the taste and the kind of like strategy and the human creativity is key. So it really can be used in those examples in that space, I would say.
Uh, I completely agree. And, just to address the person who asked the question directly, if you're doing graphic design at this point, what you should look at AI as is what um, mathematicians looked at the calculator to be. It doesn't necessarily mean we don't need mathematicians. The calculator became a support function, but the calculator can't log the algorithm itself, right? All it can do is expedite the process in which you get to the answer. So you as a graphic designer, take Haley's advice, lean very much into prompt engineering, because like Vishal said, in the event that a particular function does get swallowed up in its entirety by AI, other jobs are created as a result, right? So when it comes to now, for example, your case where you're doing graphic design, yes, there are generators out there, but then you as a graphic designer, I would assume you're an artist. So it still requires the artist's idea, the concept, to be able to paint whatever it is it's going to be able to generate, right? So two things. One, it's an eventuality. It's not going anywhere. In fact, the faster you accept it, the better. Two, that doesn't mean you become redundant. It means that you can upskill yourself faster than the market. So right now, don't think about if you're going to be declared redundant. Ask yourself, what is it doing that you're currently doing, and how can you collaborate with it to provide an offering to the market? And along that way, you'll find that you'll find better skills, you find better interest. You might even just be the go-to graphics guy because you spent more time learning how to prompt it out. For the market that you're in, because again, adoption comes at different waves. The pace at which it's being adopted in one market is not the same as the pace that's being adopted in this particular market. And if you're based potentially in a market where there's slow adoption, and there's the old guard who are still the decision makers, then you have a bit of time. But if you want to be part of the new revolution, if you want your skill set to have relevance in Paris, if you want it to have relevance across the world, you shouldn't shun from it. In fact, you should embrace it. And there's enough space for everybody, and I'm pretty sure you can find your footing in it.
For sure. I think what I'm picking from this is that it will, at the end of the day, need a human touch to it, because a vehicle cannot drive itself. It needs a human being, and actually, it's a human being with a brain. So AI is gonna be there. It's with us. We have to accept. We have to embrace it. So thank you so much for all your insights and sentiments towards this subject. Our next webinar is going to be on the 2nd of May, and it's going to be about card games. That is what can fuel the growth of card games in online casinos and sportsbook, of course, in Africa. So I would like to also thank our audience for always supporting our platform. We are now 2 years old at iGaming Africa. Massive shout out to everybody who has been coming to our platform to read news, content, etc., and even learn from the experts we always bring on board. And as well, lastly, will be to recognize the sponsors for this session. At the end of the session, we'll play a small clip just to appreciate the amazing work that we supporting our initiatives to ensure that our industry is growing, and especially here in Africa. I'll invite everybody now who was on this panel to give in their closing remarks in 1.5 minutes, kindly. Fantastic idea, I think, guys, at the top today, and then Leon, then we finish with Vishal. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I think thanks very much for the opportunity, and I also just want to extend my great thanks to Jeremiah. You do so much behind the scenes of the industry alone, and especially our gaming Africa. So I think we've had a really great discussion today, and I look forward to the next one as well. But thank you for always bringing us together. Thank you for everything that our gaming Africa does for us as an industry. I really do think that you and your team do a superb effort. And thank you. I've been very proud to be on this panel. Thanks for Charles, Leon. Great to be with you guys and everyone that listened today. Thank you for the insights. It really does make us think about what lies ahead of us as our gaming industry in the future. And our great pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also going to extend my gratitude. Thanks for everybody who made time to come on. Thanks, Jeremiah, for continuing to make these spaces where these conversations are gaining in relevance. At this point, I think if you're not on iGaming Africa, or if you don't have Jeremiah's contact, then you're nobody in the industry. Keep going, man. We appreciate all that you do. Like Haley said, in the back, people don't see the amount of work that you do to gain us this visibility. We want to say thank you. Thank you for everybody who listened. If anybody has any follow-up questions, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is right here. I'm pretty sure it'll be shared after. And let's keep having these conversations. Let's keep chatting. Let's keep sharing. Let's keep growing.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, everyone. Great panel, very intelligent people. Haley, of course, I know her. Leon, I just learned a lot of good ideas from you today. Jeremiah is brilliant as always. I think iGaming Africa is doing great service to African operators and all iGaming players inside. And I would actually want to thank the audience as well who stayed up with us. And actually, it was lovely discussing with everyone. I'll just take a moment because I just see in the chat like someone was talking about localization, whether it will be nuanced. So I'll just say like, yes, actually localization is actually the thing that AI does beautifully. Just to give you an example, like we have a game called Househead, which is basically a crash cricket game, right? But now we are actually doing a deep learning AI project within ourselves, and we are actually working on a version where the crowd noise adapts to the intensity of the crash multiplier. So it's like the game is going on and the commentator is yelling, it's going, it's crash, it's chaotic. So it's just glorious. So I'm very excited with actually AI is what I'm saying. And there are a lot of scenarios, like another scenarios where fans are waving banners, crowd noise intensifies with each multiplier, and the game UI updates. So the localization is the core thing which AI does beautifully, that I think other technologies are misserved, but AI does it beautifully. So all I wanted to say with closing is AI is there. We embrace it, we adapt it. Especially iGaming is kind of behind, but we all, as its player, we should adapt it. It has to be a responsibility taken as well. So I see more collaboration between regulators and operators going forward, and it's just going to be doing good for us all. So yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Yeah, so thank you very much. We will meet again at the next event or at the next webinar. Thank you so much for your time, and to our audience, thank you so much.
Yes, guys.